Welcome to the Modernize or Die Podcast, CFML News Edition, where we keep you up to date with everything going on in the Cold Fusion community. We'll share the latest news on events, releases to engines, frameworks, libraries, and tools, as well as spotlighting quality content from the community.
Hello, and welcome to the Modernize or Die Podcast, CFML News Edition. It is April 11th, 2023. This is episode 191. My name is Eric Peterson, and joining me today is Dan Card. How you doing, Dan?
How's it going? I'm doing all right. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. It's finally warm where I live. It's been snowing for the last week, and now it's 70, so who knows what's going on.
Yeah, that's exciting. Here in the Northeast, it is finally also. It's like above 70 today, and then it's supposed to be like 80 or 90 not 90, but 80, I think, by Friday. So it was good. Easter came and the season changed. It was cool.
That's right. Well, we want to start today by thanking our sponsor, Orta Solutions, the makers of all your favorite box products. You can say thank you in a few ways. You can like and subscribe these videos on YouTube, star and fork our repos on GitHub, subscribe to this podcast in your podcast app of choice, and leave us a great review. Sign up for a free or paid account on CFCasts, which releases new content every week. Go shop at our awesome Box Life store and rep some awesome Ortis swag, or buy one of Ortis's books like 102 Coldbox Quick Tips and Tricks, or learn modern CFML in 100 minutes. Or you can come to Into the Box this May. In person only. We'll talk about that more in our conferences section.
That is true. It's true. Also, you can be one of our Patreon supporters. We have 41 Patreons currently. The website for that is patreon.com/OrtisSolutions, and they are just invaluable for basically all the stuff that Ortis does. You know, everything from the open source platforms we have to sponsoring the podcast. But again, more on that later.
And our adjective of the day for our Patreons is caring. Our caring Patreon supporters.
Now I know what that notation means. I just thought that it was us giving, like, not platitudes, but just, words of affirmation on the thing. But you're right, that they should be said out loud a lot more often. They are very caring.
Well, let's jump into some news and announcements. What do you got for us, Dan?
Well, we got a couple things. First of all, the state of the CF Union 2023 is released. Now, this is a survey, and it is actually really important, not just for providers of Cold Fusion, but even just knowing kind of like what the community is doing and what they and what's happening in it. If nothing else, what are the questions that you get with Cold Fusion is who's using it or everything else, and this kind of gives an idea of that, or a small piece of that. And the larger the number of people in the Cold Fusion community that actually do the CF Union, the better the products are, and the tools and the open source libraries that providers create, because it gives a better idea of who's using what versions and what JavaScript libraries are being used, or different frameworks or whatever. So the website for that is up on the website. TerraTech is one of the main sponsors for that. I think the main sponsor of that, which is a huge service that they do. There's also another state of the union, which is the state of the JavaScript union, and that is actually stateofjs.com. And then if you want to do the English version, it's /en-us, and that is the state of the JS 2023 as well. So 2 state ofs, which you can contribute to.
It's always very interesting to me to look at like past state of the JavaScript unions, because it has changed so dramatically in just 3-4 years. So it'll be interesting to see where the tools and technologies we like rank. Is React still king? Where's Alpine JS in that? Is jQuery still running 20% of websites? I don't know. Go add your data there.
It would be interesting to have on the state of sort of like a prediction session. What do you think is going to be the best JavaScript library coming up in the next 3 years or whatever? And just kind of see how they age. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That'd be funny.
All right, let's talk about some new releases and updates then. In case you missed it, Ortis released a ChatGPT powered documentation site. You can access it at chatgpt.ortissolutions.com. You can ask any questions that you would expect to find over in our Gitbooks. And we have trained the model on most of those Gitbooks, and you can find answers to your questions. Again, that's chatgpt.ordersolutions.com. And yeah, this is a really fun dive into AI and machine learning.
It's also kind of fun to put in random questions. I think Daniel Garcia the other day put in, who is Louis Mahano? And it came back with Louis Mahano is the man, which I don't think was actually in our documentation. It's more implied than said, but I thought it was really kind of intuitive of the engine to really come back and affirm that. It's very cool.
Well,
All right, in case you missed it, sorry,
I
go
just
ahead.
asked who is Eric Peterson, and it said I don't know. So that's fair.
I don't know. Well, that's good. There's the Luis answer, there's the Eric answer, and then there's who is Dan Card, and then it's like, oh damn, I'm just kidding. It's all right. Yeah, that we kind of yeah. Sometimes you don't want to Google yourself or chat GPT. You may get actual answers. That's rough. All right. Well, in case you missed it, last week was the Adobe Cold Fusion. Or sorry, this actually is not what I thought it was. The Adobe Cold Fusion 2023 public beta is now on ForgeBox. So the Adobe Cold Fusion 2023 is in public beta. It's on ForgeBox, as I just said. You can test it out using CommandBox or either CommandBox servers or Docker containers. What you want to do is you want to use CF engine equals Adobe at 2023-beta. And then you just start up a new server and see what happens. It's one of the most amazing things about CommandBox. It's just spinning up different versions. You can kind of see how your site's going to run on different, different versions of the server, Lucy, Adobe, whatever. And now you can do it on beta as a preview. Some more information on that on Brad's Twitter account. So BDW429S. I'm going to put the link in there. And links in the notes.
We have
All right,
a
this
really
one I'm really fascinated by.
yeah.
Go ahead, sorry.
I had trouble figuring out where to put this in our show because it was a new release, a great blog post, and also a great new, like ForgeBox module, sort of. So this is the CFML Jupyter kernel released by James Steinshauer. For those of you that are wondering what's a Jupyter kernel, Jupyter is a notebook format that includes runnable code. I think that's the simplest that I understand it. But a picture is worth 1,000 words. So let's switch over to a screen here. Zoom in for all the folks at home. So here we are mixing Markdown with these code blocks. These code blocks, though, are running all together. So while you see my variable equals hello world, and then outputting that with CF output, and then uppercasing it, like all this can change if I change the variable at the top to say hello CFML News. Go ahead and run that, and we should start seeing the output change. So it's a runnable, there's a Docker container backing this. There's a really neat example of using SQLite and the SQLite jar, Lucy's ability to define a data source just as a struct, and he actually does queries inserting and looping over the record set here in this document. So
Wow.
this is some crazy work. I'm not even sure I understand all the fun stuff we can do with it. I do know that there's a lot of Jupyter's support in VS Code, and I am assuming that this is going to be able to underpin that. So again, there's a wonderful blog that goes through this much better than I did by Jason, and we will for sure include that link in the show notes. But
Yep, it's
awesome work. Can't wait to play around more with it.
Seriously, I actually teach a college course where we actually use Cold Fusion as one of the bases. It's a database implementation course, and I'm thinking that this would greatly enhance some of the documents because instead of actually describing what everything is that's supposed to happen, you can actually just show it right there. So I think that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and I love the fact that it's running right there. So like, if you change something, you don't have to go make sure all the examples update.
Right. Yes.
Or if there's a problem, or if you want to experiment, you can do it all right there in the notebook. So that's pretty awesome, and I'm excited to again play with this more.
Yeah, no, agreed. That's one of the biggest problems is that, that's exactly it because I have, several documents that I'll have like the, documentation as you go through the course. And then you do an update and you realize that a variable name changed in week 5. And then you're like, oh, sorry, I just basically gave you a bad example. So you're
And
right. Having people
there's
talk that kind of stuff.
there's ways to do I think he called them magic commands. So he uses like the $install to install something in command box, and $load jar to load like a class that you just put in. I could assume that we could get something like $test box, and now we
Yeah.
can be showing tests and running tests inside a notebook
Well, I think he also said that he
interactively.
was using that install to load stuff from ForgeBox as well. So it wasn't even just
Yeah,
jars. It was so yes, okay, there you go. Not so actually stuff from ForgeBox as well as jars and everything else, which is just amazing.
yeah. So great stuff. Hopefully we get to put this to good use in some of our trainings coming up.
Agreed. That's awesome. There's just I don't know. There's so much cool stuff in the world. It's stupid finite brain and time. Very annoying.
That's right.
Anyway, all right. Coming up on April 18th, we have this is webinars, meetups, and workshops. On the 18th of April, in 75. Oh, no, wait, no, that's a different thing. That's was it Longfellow poem about Paul Revere? Anyway, April 18th, coming up, 2023 at 10 a.m. Pacific time. That's 1 a.m. Eastern. Mark Takata from Adobe is going to be doing a webinar on exploring APIs, building applications with Cold Fusion, REST, and GraphQL. Says in this session, Mark Takata will demonstrate the power of Cold Fusion's data access capabilities by building 3 different applications. These applications will include a Google Translate clone, a low-code contacts manager, and an ETL workflow that integrates NoSQL with a relational database. Well, that's pretty cool. Mark will use a combination of built-in Cold Fusion tooling and freely available third-party integrations to build these applications, providing attendees with valuable insights into Cold Fusion's API and data access development capabilities. All code samples will be available following the talk on GitHub, and you can kickstart your own version of the apps based on that. That looks pretty cool. I know very little about GraphQL, so it'd be kind of fun to go see that.
Yeah, GraphQL seems to be something that Adobe is focusing a lot on, and I'm curious to see how it works out for them. I feel like GraphQL has not gotten the traction that everybody thought it would when it was announced.
Right.
And as somebody who's tried to make GraphQL work in CFML, it's a lot more complicated on the back end than the front end. So
Gotcha.
might not be worth that squeeze. So anyway, I'm curious to see what Adobe comes up with.
Gotcha. Nope, that's cool. I know very little about it, except it's like a query language, isn't it? Like basically it's like writing a query that hits your API for certain things.
Yeah, they have their own query language, their own typing language, and it's really made for graph structured data. And not a lot of our apps do that. But if you run a social network.
There you go. Well,
Okay.
sorry, I was going to go back and make a, oh my gosh, what is wrong with me? MySpace reference. That was built in Cold Fusion, but I don't think the language was why it lost market share. So,
No,
anyway.
no. All right, let's go on to some CFCast updates. First off, I'm very excited to announce this. There are some new features on CFCast, ones that you probably didn't recognize because nothing visually changed, but the search is now powered by Elasticsearch, and it has drastically increased relevance. We heard you loud and clear. We were not happy with the search either. You'd often search for like the Coldbox Masterclass, type those words in, and nothing would come back. It was embarrassing. Right. We've improved it. It was one of those launch fast. It worked for our first 30, 40, 50 videos, and then now we're up to close to 800. We needed something better. So,
seriously, it's 800 videos on CFCast?
close to that. Yep. I could go count the actual ones. I could be wrong.
Well, that might take a little time.
Oh no, you just go down to the bottom. 700. Sorry, 702.
Oh, sweet.
So the search is
up
what was
from
that?
700. You round up to 800. That makes sense.
Well, I can round up when I get to 750, right?
Depends.
So
plus.
The new search is available in the nav bar at the top and on the browse page. It hasn't quite made it to the series page, but again, that's a much smaller data source to go look through. But go try it now. In fact, I'll kind of give a little demo. One of my favorite things is, now if I type in command box, I'm getting the command box Zero to Hero workshop. That didn't really work before, but I also get things like command box basics in the cold box class. But maybe I want something that Gavin taught about command box. And now look at that. The first few are all about Gavin, the top one deploying command box containers.
Awesome.
Much better search. We hope that you enjoyed as much as I do.
Now, ForgeBox is using Elasticsearch as well, because I remember I actually did some of the
Yes.
same type of searching, and it was working much better than it was before as well. So
That's right.
sweet, cool stuff.
So that was the feature update. As far as content update, we had 2 more command box videos come out. We had Mod CFML with Nginx and Security Client Cert Auth. You can check both those out in our Mastering Command Box 5 series, and then if you search any of those terms, they're going to come up now. So
Yeah, nice. It all ties together. It's really good.
that's right. Coming soon, we still got more command box videos, as well as the Cold Box Elixir and Inertia JS series on the docs.
Cool. Sounds good. No, you said, sorry. I was saying, yeah, Brad's coming in with more command box videos, ForgeBox and VS Code pack, podcast snippets in the videos. We have an Elixir. Did you just say this? No, you didn't. Sorry. Cold Box Elixir series, basically from you, which I'm looking forward to a lot, because Elixir looks like it's one of those things that's going to be really powerful. Not going to be, is really powerful, but I'm not quite sure how to get started. So I'm looking forward to that. And then also getting started with Inertia JS from you as well, which will be good. And you there obviously means Eric, since we're doing this together. All right, conversation training.
Okay, the first one up we have is Jay on the Beach, which last week I mistakenly called John on the Beach, because Jon, Jay on the Beach.
I see it, yes.
John the Beach. This is
I like it.
It's titled Bringing DevOps, Devs, and Data Scientists Together on Big Data. This is May 10th through the 12th in Malaga, Spain. You can find more information at jonthebeach.com or johnthebeach.com.
JohnTheBeast.com. They should have like a new logo, basically. This guy named John that they just kind of, he's their spokesperson. And he's like wearing a bathing suit and like I don't know, whatever. That could get weird. Never mind. Forget it. All right.
Moving on.
What else do we have going on?
Next we have Vue.js Live. This is May 12th and 15th, online and in London. You can learn more at vuejslive.com. And then our favorite event, Dan.
Yes, coming up, Into the Box 2023, 10th edition. Middle of May 17 through 19, 2023, this year. The conference is going to be held in the Woodlands, which is just north of Houston in Texas, in the U.S., just to kind of round that out. This year, we'll continue the tradition of training and offering pre-conference hands-on training day on the 17th of May. Our live mariachi band, we're back at our spring schedule. The weather is beautiful in the Woodlands. It will not melt you as it does in August. And this year is our 10th anniversary. We might even have 2 live bands and a lot more. Now, as Eric mentioned before, it's in person only. There's no streaming option. I do believe that the keynotes are going to be live streamed, but none of the sessions. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Cool. Good. And now anyway, public knowledge. Good. All right. So the website to go check out is intothebox.org and or the ITB23 Eventbrite site, but go to intothebox.org and you'll be able to get it that way.
That's right. And don't forget our awesome workshops the day before the conference on May 17th. We have a seat in all of them right now. We have async programming and scheduling, full stack, build, deploy, log, and monitor your web applications, reactive front ends with CFML, CBWire, and Alpine.js, test box, getting started with BDD and TDD, and building the REST API for the modern developer. Some awesome workshops before the conference kicks off. So we hope to see you at one of those.
That's cool. Again, there's just so much to know. It's all good.
All right. After Into the Box, you can stay down around Houston, move a little bit east, and go into New Orleans for VueConf.us, Jazz, Code, and Vue. That's May 24th through the 26th.
I love
You
it.
can find out more at viewconf.us.
Mhm.
And if you're on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean, CF Camp is coming on June 22nd and 23rd, the Munich airport in Freising. The speakers
Mhm.
are being announced and published on their websites. You can go to cfcamp.org/sessions.html and you can see some of their sessions up right now. I don't believe this is all of their sessions, but it is a good handful. You can see what's going on.
Yeah. So Luis is speaking on CB security,
Mm-hmm.
and you're speaking on CB Playwright, basically, which is like unit tests for front end using TestBox, right?
Yep. And I'm also speaking on CB inertia.
Very cool.
And you
See,
are speaking about React in CFML. Is that right?
I am basically it's how to put a React front end using Create React App and using ColdBox as an API and making the two work together. So it'll
Awesome.
be fun. Actually, I'm looking forward to it. I've never been to Germany before.
It was wonderful when I went last. I mean, it's been 4 years now, but it was great. So I'm excited to get back.
That's awesome.
Ordis is planning to do some workshops before on the June 21st. We are currently finalizing those workshop topics, so keep your ears open to this podcast and you'll hear it first.
There you go. Cool. All right. If you're looking for more conferences, this site has a huge list of conferences for almost any language or community. That's comps.tech. And there's also a GitHub site, which we're posting right here, that has a bunch of developer conferences and the agendas that are on there. So it's github.com/Scrally, SCRALY/developers-conferences-agenda, or probably better, just look at the show notes. Oh, cool stuff. All right. Blogs, tweets, and videos of the week. We got a bunch of different ones. Yeah, actually, yeah. And very much different people as well, which is good. I mean, the same people are awesome, but I like having a diversity of people, a diversity of people that are out there for viewpoints and things.
That's right. All right. First up, we have Nolan Irk. He published a Cold Fusion Summit East 2023 recap. I'm not going to spoil that for him. Go ahead and take it out. He goes over some of the sessions he really liked though at the conference, as well as a great sushi dinner he had.
Oh, nice. That's funny. I'm just laughing. We were at Whole Foods last night, and my son was convinced he wanted this huge thing of sushi, and so I was like, "All right," because I was going to get one. We got one for him, and knowing in my head I was probably going to have sushi for lunch today because what he didn't eat. So we get home, and he's like, "Yeah, I just want the mac and cheese from the hot bar." And this big thing of sushi is now sitting in my fridge waiting for lunch. I'm very excited about this. Anyway, random thoughts. Okay.
Next up, we have a blog from Jim Jurista. Common issues when migrating to Cold Fusion 2021. He had, I believe, 4 points, maybe 5 that it was really great. It was listed out the issue that he found, the symptom, the resolution, and a reference to it. Like it was, I could use a lot more of these guides. So if you have had issues and you're looking for some fixes, or you're looking into migrating to Cold Fusion 2021, go ahead and check out his article. He goes through
Sweet.
problems with SQL types, date format changes, JSON parsing changes, query of queries, and performance monitoring.
Nice. That's awesome. And it's on Medium, so not necessarily a Cold Fusion Pacific one. That's actually in a more, I don't want to say mainstream, but you know what I mean. Basically, it's a very, very, wide publication site, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. Also, I have lost my place completely. All right, so Ben Liddell, another blog post on here using navigator.sendbeacon to publish analytics back to Cold Fusion. So he was talking, let's see, the whole topic here basically was a topic by Sasha Shinkevich talking about browser APIs they may not know about, because I've never heard of SendBeacon before. And that discussion, she mentioned the Beacon API is a means to efficiently and predictably send analytics data back to the server. Good. This is good. Ben had never heard of it either. So he put together basically, as Ben does, basically a whole demo on basically how to do it, which looks really cool.
Yeah. So you can imagine, in the end of the day, this is a post request to your server. You see it in the network tab and everything, but it solves the issue of a lot of the times you want to send the analytics data, one, without blocking anything, and two, when they're done on the page. like they're navigating somewhere else. Well, if they navigate, the browser may stop your network request, right? Because they're leaving the page. Why keep doing it? So the send
Right.
beacon is out of that process. It's not tied to the page. It's guaranteed to be attempted to send.
Okay.
So that's the benefit of using send beacon. So if you're running some of your own analytics, this is a great one to use instead of an fetch or a jQuery Ajax or even what is it, XML HTTP request, whatever the actual the thing built into JavaScript is. So, and I bet that if you're using a third-party analytics, Google Analytics, Sentry on the client, any of that, I bet they're using SendBeacon under the hood.
Which makes sense. Cool. Very cool.
All right. And back to CF Summit East, we have some slides posted from Brian. I could not find a last name for Brian. He is at Hoya Haxa on Twitter, which I probably pronounced that incorrect as well. But he talked about encryption, code ciphers, and cold fusion, what they don't want you to know. I wonder who they is in this case.
You know who they is. It's them. They're out there. Much like the truth. Yeah, Brian basically is a single name person. Even his Twitter page doesn't really have a last name. He is just known as Brian.
Yeah, I couldn't find it on his website or Twitter or so, I tried to go to the CF Summit East webpage, but it's gone now because the event's passed. So I don't know. Hey, Brian, if you're listening, you can give us your last name and we'll update it to people, or you can remain anonymous.
I was going to say, or don't, and just, see what happens. All right, let's actually see what we can do. Okay, so Hoya Haxa, maybe he went to Georgetown. Georgetown Hoyas. What is a Haxa? I don't know. Maybe he's a programmer and he's just hacking away at stuff, and that's like a phonetic leet way of saying things. I have no clue. Anyway, it's a good article anyway, so definitely read that.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Okay. That's all for the blogs, tweets, and videos of the week. Let's talk about finding a job. This week on Get CFML Jobs, we have one new job, a remote position with General Dynamics, a Cold Fusion full-time developer. If you're looking for other jobs, there is a jobs channel in the CFML Slack and the Box Team Slack as well.
Where is that located? That one job? It actually doesn't say. Is it remote?
It is a remote position, yes.
Gotcha. Okay. Interesting. Very cool. Okay. Yeah, they mentioned Cold Fusion and Lucy, UI development, so jQuery, Bootstrap, HTML, JavaScript, some MVC experience, top-notch troubleshooting skills. That's always good. And the ability to obtain a VA position of public trust, medium background investigation to obtain a public trust clearance. I do not know what that means, but good luck to anyone that actually is going for it. That's really awesome. Cool.
Is VA Veterans Affairs? Is that what we're talking about?
I don't know. It just said VA. VA position. I would assume so. But I didn't get the sense on the beginning this was all right. Well, General Dynamics. That's a private company, so maybe they just do a lot of work with the VA. General Dynamics. It sounds like a defense firm.
I'm not sure.
I don't know either.
Anybody know in the chat? Put it in there.
Mm-hmm. Be among the first 25 applicants. See what General Dynamics has hired for the role. Anyway, the jobs listed on LinkedIn as well. So cool.
All right, jumping into our ForgeBox.
While you're on LinkedIn.
Yeah, jumping into our ForgeBox module of the week. I'll be honest. I'm stretching a bit to make this a ForgeBox module. It is the CFML Jupyter kernel we talked about. It is not technically on ForgeBox, but it is powered by CommandBox, so I thought, we'll make it work. So in the show notes, we have links to Jason's article, the GitHub repo he has, and there is a site called mybinder.org, which is a place that you can run and test out these notebooks. So I've linked to his sample notebook there. And on our VS Code hint tip trick of the week, there were some updates here in March to GitHub Copilot that I thought were interesting. It's technically on the insiders build, so you have to get an invite to that. But I wanted to show it on the screen for those of you watching and I'll describe it for the rest of you. They have added an in-editor...
Humble brag that Eric was on the inside track. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Oh, I've asked to be on the inside track. I am not there yet.
Oh, in that case, it's a life lesson about actually taking initiative and becoming one of the insiders instead of just staying on the outside. Thank you, Eric, for being a leader in your field.
So they've added a chat window, so you can highlight code and bring up a chat window and ask it to do things. So I've always thought of Copilot as you write a comment about like, hey, generate this code for me, right? And it's okay at that. This is what made me try to sign up for the insiders. Is they have an array of user data, has an ID and a username. They highlight it all, and it says, hey, update username to be last name and first name. And it splits the username and gives you both those fields. And I'm like, I have done that a lot with multiple cursors, and that looks very nice. There's a little inline diff that you can see the changes it's about to make.
Mm-hmm.
They have more that you can do with the chat view. There's some things where you can get help debugging and knowing where to go. You can even ask it questions about VS Code, like how to configure things, add in some of their files, configure things in settings. So if you've ever wanted to know how to turn off breadcrumbs, you can ask right in VS Code now. So all that's on the inside track, but coming soon to anybody who is a GitHub Copilot subscriber. So I'm interested to try again, especially that in-place editing. That seemed to be, to me, even more useful than the code generation.
That's awesome. Yeah, a couple people that I've talked to that have used this said that it was actually scary how intuitive it was. Even I think it was Daniel Garcia was talking about how they even was adding. He actually started to add a to-do, I think, and it actually completed the exact to-do that he was going to type out. And I was like, oh, that's just freaky scary. So, okay, cool.
On a side note, I feel like GitHub nailed the naming of this AI tool by calling it Copilot.
Yeah.
Because they're very clear. You are the pilot developer, and you should verify what your Copilot does.
Yes, good point.
So don't blindly take their code, but also it can save a lot of time.
Yeah. Nope, that's true. That's true. Oh, well, kind of a quick podcast this week. I think even with my interjections, nice. We want to say thank you to all of our Patreon supporters. These individuals are personally and caring. These are caring Patreon supporters. I need to work that in there. Sorry. These individuals are personally supporting our open source initiatives to ensure the great toolings like CommandBox, ForgeBox, ColdBox, ContentBox, TestBox, RuleBox, and all the other boxes that keep getting continuous development that they need. And they also fund our cloud infrastructure that our community relies on, like ForgeBox for our package management with CommandBox. You can support us on Patreon, and we'll put in there. It's patreon.com/OrtisSolutions. Don't forget we have annual memberships, so you can actually pay for the year and save 10%. So you're both, consistent budgeting, good for your boss, good for us. Everything works out well. See, everybody wins.
There are some perks for subscribing. Bronze packages and up, you get a ForgeBox Pro and CFCasts subscription. All our Patreon supporters have this awesome profile badge on our community website, as well as their own private forum and a private channel on the Box Team Slack. You can access that community site at community.ortisolutions.com. And now, as is our tradition, we will read out the names of our top caring Patreon supporters. Thank you so much to John Wilson at Synaptrix, Tomorrow's Guides, Jordan Clark, Gary Knight, Mario Rodriguez, Giancarlo Gomez, David Bellinger, Dan Card, Jeffrey McGee with Sunstar Media, Dean Monder, Nolan Irk, and Abdul Rahim. And thank you to all of our Patreon supporters. You can get a full list of those on our website, ortisolutions.com/about-us/sponsors. Thanks for joining us today. Hopefully you're having a wonderful spring day if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, or a wonderful fall day in the Southern.
Very true. Thanks for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you next week.
Bye now.
Show notes for this episode can be found at cfmlnews.modernize.io, where you can also subscribe to your favorite podcast player like Spotify or iTunes. We also have the link to YouTube to find more videos just like this. The music used in this podcast is under a royalty-free license from Sound.com and Blue Tree Audio.